shows through for whatever's below it in the layers.
Right, because that's the way this is made. This paint is how it's getting all the edge stuff going on with it. And it's showing, if you go to the actual mask, you'll see there's these maker things right down here. These are the mask editor for it. And for those, this is substance warp, which is a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Filter.
Nah, that's the filter. I'm talking about this one. Generator. Yeah. A filter is just like a filter in Photoshop, by the way. I was playing with it today. It's the same thing. Except for, like, the reason I don't like the filter, not all filters, but one of the filters is blur. That's how you blur things. There's not a blur brush, which annoys it. Except for this is supposed to work, so I haven't played with it yet. So I was looking that up. Okay. So this still doesn't look like what I had. How did I make it look like what I had? What did I do? What did I do different? So first thing I did is I said, well, I don't want it to be red painted, and it's 100% normal. So whenever you put a material on something, let me go back a step. I'm going to hide everything below. No, not that. Just hide it. I want it to do like Photoshop too, so I just select and hide. Everything that is below here, like right now, all I'm looking at is this red. In Photoshop, if you click on the mask, it shows you the mask is highlighted, and if you click on the picture, it shows you the picture is highlighted. That's Photoshop. It's the same here. Here I'm looking at this mask. It's just a fill color. It's all it is. It's got a couple of different things going on with the fill, saying that it wants to use these material modes and stuff to make it dirty and stuff, and we'll talk about that. But let's just talk about this part first. Whenever you put something, a fill layer, or anything inside of substance, let me hide this now. What we're looking at is by default, remember how I told you by default, if you look in here, it has these materials, or these type of materials, textures. That's what we're looking at right here. Even if I take a brand new fill material or fill layer, you'll see all of these are here. Now you can turn these on and off by hand by just clicking at these, and that's where it gets really powerful. So if I don't care for the color, I can turn that off, but then I can make it, you know, more metallic, and I can make it more rough, and then I could say I want it really shiny, so I can just turn it shiny just by going to that layer and messing with it. I can also use a picture, like a substance picture, or I mean a noise picture. So I can click on here and pick from a bunch of pictures, and it'll just make it certain places it'll be dark, and certain places it'll be light, and stuff like that. And all that's doing is changing the reflection. See if you can see it right here. The reflection of it. It's all it's doing. It's not changing anything else but that. It's not changing the color or anything. I can change the roughness. I can add normals to it, and that's where you would do that. In this case, I'm going to delete this. So now it's really slick paint, right? So in this case, I don't really want that, so I'm going to delete this one real quick, this fill layer, just by pushing delete. I'm going to come back to this one. So now I have, if I look at this, the one that's made, this is exactly how they made it. I didn't touch it. If you wanted to change the paint from your steel, for example, you just click on this color, change the color to blue or whatever. If you understand that, then that's the superpower of Substance. Every layer is its own texture. Every one of these things has its own texture. By default, they're all just set to standard one color or scales of 0 to black or height and all that stuff. So I'm going to come back in here and change this back to something like more red, like that, or whatever. The other thing you have to remember, this is also like Photoshop. So in Photoshop, I guess I should open Photoshop. In Photoshop, the layers that you have control over can multiply, can subtract, can add on top of the layers below it. So if I take Photoshop and I throw like G, do red here, and then I'll add another layer above it, and I'll do, let's say, blue, and I fill that. Now it's blue, but if I change the type of, the way it's being drawn on top of it, it will change the way it's drawn. So now I'm getting blue times red, which makes purple. If I keep going down, this is what I was talking about, it doesn't do. I wish it did this. It goes up and down in the stack. But if I keep going down, it'll change depending on the math equation you use. Linear burn takes the colors and it makes it brighter, but actually multiplies the darkness or something like that. Darker color does something weird. So lighten makes it pink, because pink it makes it a brighter pink. Because screen lighten like only adds to the value. So if it's brighter, if it's not brighter, it won't do it. So like if I did a black line on here. it's not going to do anything but cut away from what it's being added. So no longer is it adding blue, it's adding nothing because black can't be added to it. It can't be lightened. Then usually the one most people use is this overlay because it does both dark and light, for example. But you can cycle through all this stuff. Well, if you understand that, then you understand that varnish on wood is just a clear lacquer layer that, depending on how dark the varnish is, will add or subtract to the wood underneath. So if I want to make this look more like varnish, I need to change it from normal to multiply or something, because I don't have anything underneath it. There you go. Multiply, or I think that's the one I actually used. You could do a bunch of different ones. Overlay's not bad. And then I need to come in here and figure out, okay, is this the right color? Because red varnish on top of tan is going to get really red. Well, I'll just come in here and change the color to something a little bit darker, and then we're getting closer to what I was looking at. I mean, really, I changed 3 things in this file, and it made it better. Okay.